The space around Earth burned with the dying light of humanity's last warships. Admiral Kim Tae-woo stood on the bridge of his ship, watching as another human cruiser exploded into bright flames. The enemy had too many ships, too many weapons, and shields that seemed to eat up human attacks like they were nothing. "Sir, we lost more than half our ships," said Captain Park Ji-hai. Her voice stayed calm even though death surrounded them everywhere. The computer screen showed the terrible truth. Humanity had 300 ships fighting against more than 2,000 alien vessels. Each enemy ship had plasma guns and energy shields that made human weapons look like toys. The alien fleet looked scary and beautiful at the same time. 12 different alien races had joined together under something called the Zephyrian Empire. Their combined fleet showed 300 years of winning battles and taking over planets. At the center of their formation sat Warprime Kethrix's flagship. It was as big as a small moon and looked like a giant predator watching its next meal. Tae-woo had seen the reports about this empire. They moved from star to star like a plague, taking over every world they found. Species that had lived for thousands of years were now slaves or dead. Planets that once held billions of people were now empty rocks floating in space. The Zephyrians did not just conquer. They destroyed everything that made a species special. "Admiral, the Warprime wants to talk to you," said Lieutenant Choi Min-ho from his station. Tae-woo fixed his uniform and nodded. The big screen in front of him flickered and showed Kethrix's scary form. The alien leader had 4 arms that moved like they were laughing at the burning human ships. His compound eyes reflected the light from the explosions, making him look even more frightening. Around the bridge, human officers watched their admiral with hope and fear. They had families on Earth below, children who played in parks, parents who worked in offices, lovers who waited for them to come home. All of those people depended on this moment, on what happened in the next few minutes. Admiral of the Human Fleet, Kethrix spoke with the voice of someone who had never lost a battle. "Your people have fought well, but it means nothing. Give up now, and we will let your species live as our servants. Keep fighting, and we will burn your world until nothing remains." The alien's words carried the weight of 3 centuries of conquest. Every species that had faced him had heard similar words. Some had surrendered immediately. Others had fought until the last ship died. In the end, it never mattered. The Zephyrians always won. Tae-woo looked at Ji-hai, who gave him a tiny nod that only he could see. Everything was going exactly as they had planned. The Admiral took a deep breath and let his shoulders drop like a man who had given up hope. "Warprime Kethrix," he said, and his voice sounded heavy with defeat. "Humanity surrenders. We cannot fight against your empire's power." The alien's mouthparts clicked together in a sound of satisfaction. "Smart choice, Admiral. Tell your remaining ships to stop fighting. We will take your world now." As the communication ended, Tae-woo allowed himself a small smile. The other officers on the bridge also smiled, though they tried to hide it. Down in the ship's lower levels, crew members who had been listening to the conversation began to move with purpose that had nothing to do with defeat. The truth was that humanity had been planning this moment for over a century. Every human ship that exploded had been designed to break apart in exactly the right way. Every retreat had been calculated to put the aliens in the perfect position. Even the surrender had been practiced and planned down to the last word. Warprime. Kethrix did not know that human technology was far more advanced than what he had seen. The ships he had just destroyed were decoys, built to look primitive and weak. The real human fleet was hidden throughout the solar system, waiting for the signal to begin the real battle. The aliens also did not know that Earth itself was not just a planet. It was the largest weapon ever built by any species in the galaxy. Every ocean, every mountain, every city had been turned into part of a defense system that could destroy entire fleets. The Zephyrians thought they were landing on a helpless world. Instead, they were walking into the most deadly trap in the history of warfare, as the alien ships began their descent toward Earth. Tae-woo opened a private communication channel to the planet's surface. "Dr. Lee, they took the bait. All enemy forces are committed to the invasion." "Understood, Admiral," came the reply from Dr. Lee Haijin, Earth's chief scientist, beginning final preparations. "The trap will be ready to spring in 6 hours." Tae-woo looked out at the alien fleet moving toward his home world. In a few hours, War Prime Kethrix would learn that humanity was not like the other species he had conquered. Humans did not just fight with weapons and ships. They fought with their minds, their patience, and their ability to turn weakness into strength. The real battle was about to begin. 3 days after humanity's surrender, alien soldiers walked through the streets of every major city on Earth. Their tall command towers rose from the ruins of government buildings, casting dark shadows over the quiet human population. War Prime Kethrix stood in his new command center in what used to be Seoul, looking down at the humans below through massive windows. Something felt wrong about this conquest. In 300 years of taking over worlds, Kethrix had never seen anything like this. Usually conquered species spent weeks crying, fighting, or trying to escape. They would beg for mercy or plot revenge in dark corners. But these humans seemed almost calm, like they had been expecting this to happen. "The humans are too quiet," said Sub-Commander Vorthok, his snake-like skin changing colors as he spoke. "Most species need months of punishment before they accept being conquered. These humans seem ready for it." Kethrix's many eyes studied the data flowing across his screens. Human factories were being cataloged, cities were being mapped, and places with useful materials were being marked for extraction. Everything was going according to their standard plan for taking over a planet, but something felt different. The humans were helping them. They gave detailed maps of their cities, lists of their resources, and information about their technology. When Zephyrian soldiers asked for something, humans would bow politely and provide it immediately. It was like they wanted to be conquered. A soft sound announced someone's arrival. Dr. Lee. Hyjin walked into the command center with a calmness that made Kethrix uncomfortable. She was Earth's appointed representative, chosen to work with the occupying forces. Her dark eyes held an intelligence that seemed dangerous, though Kethrix could not explain why. "War Prime," she said, bowing respectfully. "I hope your soldiers are settling in well. We've prepared detailed reports about our infrastructure and resource locations. It's everything you need to know about human capabilities." She waved her hand, and a holographic display appeared between them. It showed Earth's technological development over the past 100 years. Kethrix studied the primitive fusion reactors, basic energy weapons, and crude space travel technology. It was exactly what he had expected from a species that had only recently learned to travel between stars. The display showed human cities with simple buildings, factories that produced basic materials, and research centers that seemed to focus on elementary science. Their weapons were chemical-based projectiles and simple energy beams. Their ships used basic rocket propulsion and nuclear fusion. Everything looked normal for a young species. "Your technology is adequate for a species that just learned to leave its home world," Kethrix said with dismissal. "We will improve it greatly once we begin integration procedures." Hyjin smiled, and something in that expression made the War Prime feel cold despite his thick skin. "I am certain you will find our technology most illuminating, War Prime. We humans have always been quick to learn new things." Her smile seemed to hide something important. The way she spoke suggested she knew something that Kethrix did not. But what could a primitive species possibly know that the mighty Zephyrian Empire did not? As she left the command center, Kethrix turned to Vorthok. "Increase surveillance on all human activities. Something about this situation feels wrong." "Yes, War Prime. Though I should mention something strange. Our deep-range sensors are detecting unusual energy signatures from the ocean floors and underground facilities. The humans say they are just geothermal power plants and mining operations." Kethrix's mouthparts clicked together as he thought about this information. "Send investigation teams to those facilities. Check everything. Leave nothing unexplored." That night, Kethrix reviewed reports from around the planet. Human cooperation was unprecedented. They had provided complete databases of their technology, detailed maps of their cities, and even offered to help with resource extraction. No species had ever been this helpful to their conquerors, but the strange energy readings were increasing. Zephyrian scientists reported that some of the signatures seemed to come from technology that should not exist. Deep underground there, sensors detected massive facilities that seemed to extend 4 kilometers in all directions. Under the oceans, there were structures that appeared to be far more complex than simple power plants. Perhaps Vorthok suggested the humans are hiding some of their technology to prevent us from taking it. Kethrix considered this possibility. Many species tried to hide their most valuable technology during conquest. But usually, they hid small things like advanced computers or weapons designs. These energy signatures suggested something much larger. War Prime, came a report from one of his field commanders. We have discovered something unusual. The human facility we investigated today appears to be much more extensive than their records indicated. The technology inside seems more advanced than what they have shown us. Kethrix felt a chill run through his body. How much more advanced? Sir, some of the equipment appears to be operating on principles we do not understand. Our scientists are requesting permission to conduct a full investigation. The War Prime looked out at the quiet human city below. In the streets, humans went about their daily lives as if nothing had changed. They worked at their jobs, cared for their families, and followed the new rules without complaint. But now he wondered if their calmness came from defeat or from something else entirely. Begin full investigations of all human facilities, he ordered. I want to know what they are hiding. Strange things began happening to Zephyrian equipment all across the occupied territories. Plasma weapons that should have worked for centuries suddenly stopped firing. Energy shields that had protected alien ships for decades flickered and died, without warning. Most disturbing of all, their advanced sensors began detecting technology that should not exist on a primitive world like Earth. War Prime Kethrix stood in what used to be the Korean Deep Sea Research Institute, now converted into a Zephyrian investigation facility. The massive underwater complex stretched 4 kilometers beneath the ocean floor. Only now were the occupying forces beginning to understand how truly enormous it was. These readings make no sense, said Chief Science Officer Kelter, his tentacles moving frantically as he studied the data. The energy signatures we are detecting suggest technology at least 200 years ahead of what these humans should possess. The alien scientists had been working for days to understand what they were seeing. The facility contained manufacturing equipment that could build things at the level of individual atoms. There were energy generators that seemed to pull power from places that did not exist. Most confusing of all, there were computer systems that appeared to operate on principles that Zephyrian science could not identify. Dr. Lee Hae-jin watched them with the same unsettling calm she had shown since the occupation began. She stood quietly in the corner of the room, observing the alien scientists as they struggled to understand human technology. Her presence made the aliens uncomfortable, but they could not explain why. Is there a problem, War Prime? She asked, politely. These are simply our research facilities. Surely an advanced species like yours would not be concerned with primitive human science. Kethrix's forearms crossed as he studied the information flowing across his personal display. Primitive facility contained technology that could manipulate matter in ways his scientists had never imagined. The energy readings suggested power sources that tapped into the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Every piece of equipment in the facility was more advanced than anything in the Zephyrian Empire. The computers processed information faster than their best systems. The manufacturing equipment could create materials that were stronger than anything the aliens had ever seen. Even the simple tools seemed to operate on principles that defied understanding. Dr. Lee Kethrix said slowly, "This technology is far beyond what your species demonstrated during our initial battle. Explain this difference." Jin's smile grew wider, and her eyes began to shine with a cold light. War Prime, you assumed that what you saw was all we possessed. That was unwise. We humans have a saying, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. We learned long ago that sometimes it is better to appear weak than to show your true strength. The words hit Kethrix like a physical blow. His compound eyes widened as he began to understand what she was saying. You have been hiding your true capabilities for how long? Since we first detected your expansion into the Outer Rim territories. Approximately 127 years ago. We have been preparing for this moment ever since. She gestured to the massive facility around them. This is just one of 300 similar installations across the planet in War Prime. This is not even our most advanced technology. Right. Alien scientists stopped their work and stared at her. 300 facilities like this one. The implications were staggering. If humans had been hiding technology this advanced, what else were they capable of? Kethrix's mind raced as he tried to process this information. Then why surrender? Why allow us to occupy your world? Because War Prime, we needed you exactly where you are right now. Every ship, every soldier, every piece of equipment you have committed to this invasion. We needed all of it in one place. Eyes gleamed with dangerous intelligence. Welcome to Earth, War Prime. We have been waiting for you. Around the facility, Zephyrian soldiers began to look nervous. They had thought they were occupying a primitive world with backward technology. Now they were learning that they were trapped on a planet with weapons and defenses far beyond their understanding. You orchestrated this invasion, Kethrix said, his voice filled with growing horror. You wanted us to come here? Every piece of intelligence your scouts gathered, every battle report your spies sent back, every demonstration of our primitive technology was carefully designed to make you believe we were weak and worth conquering. Hyjin walked closer to the War Prime, her smile never fading. You've studied our decoy ships and our fake weapons. You analyzed our dummy facilities and our false energy signatures. The entire time, our real military capabilities remained hidden. Kelter's tentacles began to shake as he realized the scope of the deception. The energy readings we detected during our initial survey, they were all false? Not false, Hyjin corrected. Incomplete. We're seeing exactly what we wanted. You to see? Just enough to make you believe you understood our capabilities, but not enough to reveal our true strength. Kethrix felt a chill run through his entire body. In 300 years of conquest, no species had ever deceived the Zephyrian Empire so completely. What do you want from us? Nothing, War Prime. We do not want anything from you. We want you to understand something very important. Her voice became deadly serious. The age of alien expansion is over. You have just encountered the species that will end it. The facility around them began to hum with increasing energy as hidden systems came online. The truth exploded across the solar system like a thunderbolt. What the Zephyrians had thought were simple asteroid mining operations suddenly revealed themselves as massive weapons platforms. The rocks floating in space opened up like deadly flowers, exposing energy cannons the size of skyscrapers. The primitive human ships that had fled the initial battle were not running away. They had been moving to predetermined positions throughout the outer system. Waiting for this moment, Admiral Kim Tae-woo stood in the real command center of Earth's defense network. Buried 3 kilometers beneath the Taebaek Mountains, the facility hummed with power as systems that had been sleeping for decades suddenly came to life. Around him, hundreds of technicians worked at stations that controlled humanity's true military might. The technology in this room would have been impossible for the Zephyrians to understand. Admiral, all orbital platforms are active, reported Captain Park Ji-hai, her fingers moving across controls that seemed to bend light itself. The lunar installations are charging to full capacity, and the asteroid belt network is ready to fire on your command. On the main display, War Prime Kethrix's face showed a mixture of rage and growing terror. The alien commander had finally understood how completely he had been deceived, but it was far too late to do anything about it. Impossible. Kethrix's voice cracked through the communication array. Our sensors detected none of this technology during our initial survey of your system. Colonel Yoon Sung-ho, Earth's chief military strategist, smiled with satisfaction. War Prime, you scanned for energy signatures that matched your own technology. We have been developing along completely different principles for over a century. While you focused on bigger energy weapons, we learned to manipulate the basic forces of reality itself. The tactical display showed the true scope of humanity's preparations. Every major asteroid in the belt had been hollowed out and converted into a weapon platform. The moon's hidden side concealed installations that could project energy beams across distances that spanned entire planets. Even Earth's oceans hid massive generators that could tap into the planet's magnetic field and turn it into a weapon. These were not just bigger versions of existing weapons. Human technology had taken a completely different path from alien science. Where the Zephyrians built larger plasma cannons, humans had learned to manipulate space and time. where aliens created stronger energy shields humans had discovered. How to bend the laws of physics themselves. You see, War Prime, Taewoo said quietly. We've studied every species you conquered over the past 3 centuries. We learned from their mistakes. The Altarians tried to fight you with superior numbers. They lost because numbers alone do not win battles. The vegan collective attempted to match your technology piece by piece. They failed because they were always one step behind. The Centauri Federation tried to hide and hoped you would pass them by, Jahai added. You found them anyway, because hiding is not a strategy. It is just delaying the inevitable. Kethrix's compound eyes grew wide with understanding and fear. You chose a different path. You made yourselves appear weak and vulnerable. We made ourselves look like easy prey, Taewoo confirmed. We spent over a century building fake technology, creating false energy signatures, and constructing decoy facilities. Every piece of intelligence your scouts gathered was carefully designed to make you believe we were worth conquering, but not dangerous enough to worry about. The alien commander's forearms shook as he realized the full scope of the trap. Him, his bridge crew, worked frantically at their stations, trying to find a way out of the situation. But every option they considered was already blocked by human technology they had never imagined. You orchestrated this entire invasion, Kethrix said, his voice barely above a whisper. You wanted us to come here with everything we had? Every accidental encounter between our patrol ships and your scouts was planned, Sang-ho explained. Every desperate transmission you intercepted was designed to give you exactly the information we wanted you to have. Every secret human facility your spies discovered was built specifically for them to find. The War Prime looked at his tactical displays and saw the nightmare that surrounded his fleet. Human weapons platforms had appeared throughout the solar system, each one more advanced than anything in the Zephyrian Empire. Energy readings showed technology that operated on principles his scientists could not even begin to understand. Needed your entire expeditionary force in one place? Taewoo continued. Every ship, every soldier, every piece of advanced technology you brought to conquer Earth. We needed all of it here. Trapped in our solar system, unable to escape or call for help, Kethrix realized that his fleet was not just outnumbered. We're outmatched by technology that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics. Human weapons could strike across impossible distances, bend space around their targets, and manipulate energy in ways that made Zephyrian defenses useless. Welcome to our world, War Prime, Taewoo said, his voice carrying the weight of over a century of preparation. You came here to conquer us? Instead, you have walked into the most carefully planned trap in the history of galactic warfare. The alien commander looked around desperately, searching for any possible escape. But everywhere he looked, he saw human technology that was beyond his understanding. Weapons that could destroy his entire fleet. And the growing realization that he had made the greatest mistake in the history of the Zephyrian Empire. The night. Sky above Earth erupted in brilliant light as humanity's true power awakened. From hidden installations across the globe, beams of pure energy shot upward, meeting at a single point high above the planet's atmosphere. The convergence created something that had never been seen before. Earth itself became a weapon that painted the heavens in colors that had no names. Dr. Lee. Hai-Jin stood on the observation deck of the Seoul Command Center, watching as her home planet transformed into the ultimate weapon. The planet's magnetic field had been converted into a massive energy projector, drawing power from the rotation of the world itself. Around her, technicians monitored systems that could bend the fundamental forces of physics to their will. All planetary systems are online, reported Dr. Kim Min-soo, his voice filled with awe despite years of preparation. We are drawing one. Point to terawatts from the planetary grid. The quantum field generators are stable, and the dimensional tap is holding steady. The energy levels were beyond anything ever achieved by any species in the galaxy. Humanity had turned their entire planet into a power source, tapping into forces that existed at the very foundation of reality. The technology required to accomplish this had taken over a century to develop, and its existence had been hidden from every form of alien detection. In orbit above Earth, the Zephyrian fleet found itself caught in a web of destruction, unlike anything they had ever encountered. Energy beams that erupted from Earth's surface did not simply destroy their ships. They unmade them at the molecular level, reducing centuries of technological achievement to clouds of atoms floating in space. War Prime. Kethrix's flagship shuddered as reality itself seemed to bend around it. His screen showed readings that should have been impossible as human technology rewrote the laws of physics in the space around his fleet. Ships that should have been protected by the strongest shields in the galaxy simply stopped existing as Earth's weapons reached across the void. This cannot be happening, Kethrix roared, his forearms frantically working his command console. No species in the galaxy possesses this level of technology. The alien commander watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically dismantled. By weapons that operated on principles his scientists could not even begin to understand. Energy beams that should have taken minutes to cross space arrived instantly. Shields that had withstood the firepower of entire fleets crumbled like paper. Ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds simply vanished from existence. War Prime, came the calm voice of Admiral Kim Tae-woo through the communication array. You made the same mistake that every conqueror makes. You assumed that all species would develop technology in the same way, that everyone would follow the same path of scientific advancement. You were wrong. The tactical display showed the systematic destruction of the Zephyrian fleet. Each ship that tried to flee found its path blocked by energy fields that could manipulate space and time itself. Those that attempted to fight back discovered that their weapons simply could not function in the altered physics that surrounded Earth. Kethrix watched as his escort ships dissolved into cosmic dust. The massive dreadnoughts that had conquered star systems crumbled like sandcastles. Even his own flagship, the pride of the Zephyrian Empire, began to show signs of structural failure as human technology attacked it at the quantum level. We did not just prepare for your invasion, Tae-woo continued, his voice carrying across the void with perfect clarity. We prepared for the message it would send to every species in the galaxy. They will all know what happened here. They will know that humanity is no longer hiding, that the age of alien expansion has ended. The human weapons reached out across the solar system, striking with precision that defied understanding. Zephyrian ships that had been positioned at the edge of the system found themselves under attack from weapons that could bend space to bring distant targets within range. There was no place to hide, no distance great enough to provide safety. Is not over, humans? Kethrix transmitted as his ship limped toward the stars, its hull cracked and systems failing. The Empire will return with forces you cannot imagine. We will bring fleets that will. No, Dr. Lee Hygen's voice cut through his threat with quiet certainty. You will not. Because now the galaxy knows what we are capable of. Every species that has ever been conquered by your empire will hear about this day. They will know that the Zephyrian Empire is not invincible. The communication ended, leaving Kethrix alone with the knowledge that he had just witnessed the birth of a new galactic power. His fleet, the pride of the Empire, had been destroyed by a single planet using technology that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. Behind him, Earth continued to shine with the light of technologies that would redefine what was possible. In the universe, the planet had become a beacon that could be seen across vast distances, a signal that would reach every corner of the galaxy. The message was clear to every species that received it. Humanity had been hiding among the stars, appearing weak and primitive while secretly developing weapons that could challenge the greatest empires in the galaxy. The age of alien conquest was over. The time of humanity had begun. As Kethrix's damaged flagship disappeared into the darkness between stars, Earth's light continued to burn bright, announcing to the universe that a new power had emerged from. The shadows in the galaxy would never be the same again.